I do have Ethan on the line, and he'll be able to assist you from here.
Wait, can you explain who Ethan is?
Ethan is a claim professional, and he would be able to look into the claim for you.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You have a great day there.
You too.
Hey, Charlene, this is Ethan with Travelers Insurance. I understand that you would like to see about getting this reopened and Subro looking into it due to you kind of knowing what caused the damage now and who caused the damage.
Oh yeah, I have evidence of it, as well as copies of the utility bill that was for the community for $38,000 in arrears.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah. And this company that did all these things were not the authorized water authority. I did not sign up with them, so they had no jurisdiction to cut off my water through another unit. And when they did terminate water, they cut the original water pipes, and that's what caused the flooding in the building. And there was never no slab leak. And how we know is several months after y'all sent American leak detectors, we flooded that whole time. The occupants in 1504D, like in Dog, they couldn't take the flooding anymore. So when they moved out, they let us know that they were flooding the whole time. And then their outside contractor comes over to tell us that he fixed it where the problem was, and they never turned the water back on. And they shut off the water through 1504D, like in Dog.
Gotcha, okay.
So the contractor that did all these things is named Jasper Utility Services. They're a management company that is hired for collections. They're not an authorized public utility. They came in forcefully. They are not a public water supplier. And since these condos were former apartments, they did not disconnect our units, from sink to sink, from toilet to toilet, from sewage to sewage. They did not do all that because this building is too old for that. It's built in 73, and that's how they were able to cut off water through another unit. And with that being said, this Jasper Utility Services is a company that's out of Forest Park, Georgia. The registered agent's name is Kenya Rock. And I have no contract to do business with them. And I'm grandfathered out because I purchased the unit in 2002 when the bylaws exclusively state that all of my HOA fees were to cover for water, sewage, maintenance, and everything else. And I never signed a new contract or covenant. And that's what makes my case different, is because I never was behind on HOA fees. I'm still current to this day. And my unit still does not have essential water, which is unreasonable. The collection company, I believe, was hired because the rest of the owners or occupants or renters were not paying the HOA fees, or if this HOA allowed this company to cut off water, they eventually left. So there was no money coming in because the occupants left.
All right, and just getting caught up tough one typing here. So just kind of recapping, we now know who's responsible for the water issues. You have copies from the community utility bill of $38,000 in arrears. You also know the company that they were not authorized and had no authority to cut the water off was Jasper Utility Services. When it sounds kind of like a neighbor of 1504D, whether it's above or side by side, moved out. They advised you that they had been flooding this whole time and no one ever turned the water back on. And Jasper Utility Services has a registered agent as Kenya Rock. Do you happen to have a telephone number for Jasper Utility Services?
Kenya Rock.
People can look it up if you don't.
Well, I don't think you can get through because they make it really difficult. But I do have an email. I do. Well, you know why it's difficult? Because they're a collection agency.
Right. They want to call people, not be called.
Right. And if they do get called, the wait is so horrendous, you can't get through. But I might have an email for her. Email. Well, I have an email to one of the quote unquote managers. His name is Steve Bernard. And I've had run-ins with him because I told him to turn the water back on. Let me look. His name is S. Bernard. Let me see. S. And, they have insurance to cover all this. And this, how do I know? One of the other owners let me know on Sunday that they paid her to get her floor fixed. I said, when did they do that? I said, okay, because my unit is not the only unit that was damaged because of this Jasper Utility Company cutting water lines in other units. Other units were affected adversely, and they were picking and choosing as to whose units they were going to repair. So S. Bernard, S like in Sam, BERNARD, at Jasper, that's JASBERUS.com. That was the email. And let me see, I might have a number. Her name is Kenya Rock. Her name is spelled AKENYA, Rock, like ROCK. Now, she is just a registered agent. I don't know anything else other than, let me look up the address. And not only when they cut those water lines, they contaminate our drinking water supply since they're not an authorized water authority. They did something more than just cut off water. Because they are not authorized as the water authority. I'm looking for the address.
And that was Jasper, JASBER, B as in boy?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just making sure I got it right.
Let me look. Oh, I have been in communication with these people, email these folk. This is flat out fraud to the nth level. And, the tactics that they use for the other people, I don't know what to say. They got them to sign their contract. I didn't do that. Also, while I'm looking, I found this information. This is with the Rockdale County Water Resources. They're the authorized water supplier. And did you need to speak with the director? Because he seems to be in error. He knows, he can confirm the water bill was $38,000 in January of 2023. Would you want his name and number too?
Yeah, if you want to provide that, you can. It was Rockdale County Water Services?
Rockdale County Water Resources.
Okay, perfect.
Their office number is 770-278-7415. The director's name is Kimberly Peek, Peek. 470-840-9533. You need the address for Rockdale Water Resources?
No, we can always just look that up with a quick Google. And that first telephone number was
7415. Yeah. And then the mobile number is 470-840-9533. I'm just reading this off of my email.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I'm looking for Kenya's, if I got an email for her. Jesus. Kenya Rock Jasper. And, some people spell it a different name, but that doesn't show up anywhere. So the correct spelling.
Gotcha, okay.
Yeah, so I'm looking. I think address. All I have is 1105 Main Street, Forest Park, Georgia, 30297. But the Secretary of State has an address for her also. It's on Courtney Street. But I have to research that a little bit.
Alrighty. Yeah, I think I got enough here. I'm going to send this off to just get referred back to our, claim reopened and referred back to our sub-row department. I typically say about 24 hours for a response, but that's just from the claim handler, being that this is going to go back to sub-row. I would probably guess between like 48 to 72 hours, just because, there's one more step that the adjuster has to take. So like I said, I'm going to send this off and just be on the lookout for a call back from either your claim handler originally, or potentially one of our sub-row investigators to kind of look further into it for you.
Yes, and in my case, the claim was mitigated lower because, my services were terminated. But now that we can confirm that there's no slab leak, and that we can confirm that, yes, indeed, they cut water lines in an adjacent unit, and as two adjacent units, and there was flooding for months. We can confirm that. And you can confirm that the water bill was high based on the usage. And with half of the community gone, and our usage was up to 366,000 gallons of water in 1 month. I'm just saying, and all we have is 17 buildings. The average bill is supposed to be about $2,000 if there's no broken pipes.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely up there.
Yeah, it's unfair. And having us to pay all that, and then people moving out, and then the HOA has been receiving, when people move out and they did a lease purchase, well, they still responsible for $275 worth of HOA fees. So now our HOA group is receiving deposits of $25,000 from people who have foreclosed, and most of them foreclosed because of non-payment, or they didn't have essential water, so they went to move somewhere else. You see how? So the people who need to be accountable is these board members who were not truthful to us, who did not allow the water company to apply for grants, for indigent people, people who are low income, this is this community, and get government grants. And if they did, they didn't use those grants to repair the infrastructure that had been destroyed by a contractor over collecting for water bills that were in arrearage. There's money out there for that.
Right.
And they didn't do that. And the reasons why they didn't do that, you can ask them why. Was it because the community was speaking back because they chose not to pay the HOA fees because how they were being treated? or because they weren't taking care of the things that we were paying for, but they can be accountable for that. But the evidence is clear that those pipes were cut. The leak came from other areas, and there was no slab leak because there's been no evidence of repairing any slab leak. Not in our unit and not in the next door neighbor's unit, because I recorded it. And it's still illegal to turn off anyone's water that has paid the HOA fee. That should have never happened to me.
That's in the bylaws, right?
And even
it's in your bylaws, that's what it covers, yeah.
It does cover that. And I did not agree to any new bylaws because, I have a copy of the bylaws that I signed for back in 2002. Now, if they changed it, it's for all the other people. I'm grandfathered clause to the original ones that I agreed to, which includes water and sewage and everything else. And I'm current. Now, I think where the problem began was when my next door neighbors didn't pay, but that has nothing to do with me. They should have took them to court.
Right.
But, they were smart enough to put their property in a corporation. So you can't sue a corporation. So they devised this scheme to make me suffer. But, I'm a senior citizen and I'm disabled. So why even go through that? It gets aggravated when you do this to a person that is deemed handicapped by the federal government. It makes it even egregious for them to do that. And then they're walking around with water. So I'm just saying this is part of, the, responsibility why we have insurance is to cover for things such as this. And I'm doing my due diligence to be responsible, to pay what I need to pay. And I have to have insurance because I have a mortgage. And then the fact that that clue report documents several claims, but this had nothing to do with me, and I shouldn't be held accountable for their negligence of their contractor that they hired, that I did not hire, that caused all this problem. All over $38,000. That's what gets me. There's something more underneath all this, but we know, of course, that hasn't been revealed yet. But, this is something that could be investigated by the IRS, who has a department that does all these things to get to the root of it so that you insurance people don't have to deal with this anymore. Because I see why, it seemed kind of funky, and of course, I see why that y'all bowed out, but this cannot continue to happen since now Georgia is got lots of townhouses now. And, it makes the industry have to go through something if you got people not doing the right thing with the properties that they're building and throwing up real quick. And nobody wants to have to deal with that if you got investors that are not really taking care of the homes or building them properly to where we wouldn't have these extra problems. So did I say enough?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I was trying to take notes as you were talking. That way I had everything, but I definitely think this will be enough to, like I said, get it reopened and refer it to Subro again to have them kind of take a double take at it. But other than that, like I said, I got everything, and I'll send this over and just be on the lookout for a call back from, it could come from your adjuster first, just to kind of make you aware of things. That was Frederick Miles. And then from there, it'll likely be a Subro agent.
No, this wasn't Frederick. This was for, we're not talking about the sewer backup. Frederick was over the sewer backup. He was not over the,
okay.
It was somebody else. And I was
Hang on, I
saying,
should be able to look up that second one as well.
yeah, and even with the sewage issue, that's supposed to be managed by the water company, Rockdale Water Resources, since they are the authorized water supplier, and we are not a private entity where we can't receive the services because we do pay property taxes. So we're supposed to get all that taken care of too. And they could have applied for grants to take care of that if, quote unquote, our community couldn't. But even so, that clue report being adjusted would make a difference. The clue report, says several claims, but this wasn't any of my responsibility to have to manage since it was from an outside unit. And I get that, segregation, but, that's just the low number. And I don't think y'all would do anything for quote unquote $5,000 because y'all, capped a limit as to how much you guys were going to pay for hotels. And then, of course, the claim was underbidded quite a bit because the water continued months after the initial issue. So we need to get that taken care of because that check for $412 was not enough to manage for the water continuing to run months after the initial issue. So could you actually send the adjuster to reassess the area since we have located the original we have finally defined what really happened and why it was done. If I could say it like that.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I see here that it looks like it was Bert Trapp or Ruben Jennings. It looks like they were both kind of working on it for you.
Yeah.
Let's see what Ruben was.
And I wasn't able to get nowhere with Mr. Trapp. He was like, nope, I'm not doing nothing for you. and so I think he took some of the stuff personal. But, when you're dealing with not having water, you're dealing with not having sewage, you're dealing with flooding on a regular, you're dealing with him saying, well, you cleaned it up, accusing me. You can't clean up continuous water.
Right.
And the fact that it was, I have...
Just move over here. Okay, there we go. Now I got it in the right one here. Alrighty, I'm going to submit this, and then, like I said, just be on the lookout, very likely from one of our sub agents, and I'll call you and kind of go over the next steps.
Okay, your name is Ethan. Thank you for having the conversation. Was I particularly rude to you? I just want to make sure I'm checking myself.
No, not at all. I think you just, you're very... You should be passionate about your own home, right? I think that's all it is. You want this right and you want this done, and it's understandable. So I completely get where you're coming from. But no, I didn't sense that at all.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm just checking myself because I've been accused since I've been advocating continuously. I've been accused of being something that I wasn't. So I'm checking myself.
No, yeah, absolutely. You're good.
Thank you. Well, have a good day now.
Thank you. You as well. Bye-bye.
Bye.